Hi guys, Leslie Ambriz here with Black Hollywood Live at the Moana Multicultural Press Day event at the Walt Disney Studios. I might not be getting on that boat and sailing the seas just like our awesome heroine Moana, but I did get to talk to the animators and creative masterminds behind the film, so check out the interviews, let us know what you thought at AfterBuzzTV.com and BlackHollywoodLive.com, and be sure to leave us a comment in the box below. With you, two big Disney legends, I mean, some of your movies are some of my absolute favorites. We have Little Mermaid, Aladdin. So we see a lot of strong female characters just in those movies. Is that something that inspired Moana, where you said, you know, we have Jasmine, who's spunky, and Ariel, who's the rebellious but still has a good heart? Did you kind of take from those movies when thinking of Moana's characteristics?
I think there's an element of them in Moana. Certainly she is, we're trying to make her a strong character, and she's literally headstrong, and she's tenacious. That's one of her attributes that I think it most describes her, that she, no matter what obstacle you throw in her way, she sort of doesn't take no for an answer, and she just keeps, she's kind of relentless, but she's also kind of empathetic, and I think she shares some of those characteristics with some of those early heroines.
But she's different too, I think, in a way that she's trying to save her world and save her people, so the stakes of her mission are pretty huge, and she's just a 16-year-old girl on this quest. So in a way, I think her story is a little bit more of like a hero's journey, even compared with Ariel or Jasmine. She has to become this person that she hopes deep down inside that she has the strength to become.
And with seeing, I mean, even Frozen, which was a Disney film, seeing slowly, little by little, more female empowerment. Do you think this is a direction that Disney's going to take on more often with future films?
I think so. I mean, every film is sort of generated by the directors that develop it, sort of, and I don't think there's a mandate to do anything corporate-wise. But I do think it's fun to work in this arena where you really there is no romance in this story. So really, it is just her, you know, trying to overcome obstacles in front of her, and within her head a little bit. You know, does she have what she thinks she has? You know, when people call into question, you know, and they try and define her certain ways, and really it's about her defining herself, and I think that's a good message for young women and young men today, to really find that inner voice inside your head, no matter what other people say, and then really respond to that voice and really trying to embrace the inner you, you know, who you really feel that you are in your heart.
It's funny that we actually started this movie 5 years ago. These films take a long time to do. They take, and that's not unusual, 5 years. A lot of the films have taken that long. And so when we started the film, it was before Frozen was really very far along, and some of the other things. So it really, I think, came from just after going to the South Pacific and visiting these islands and learning things, and wanting to center the story around the navigation culture, which is a really important part of the islands in terms of what we learned. And so having a girl who is determined to sort of return her people to their roots seemed to sort of make sense for this story.
And from the clips that I saw today, I feel like you guys have really done that justice, just in terms of really capturing that, you know, girls are powerful too. But in terms of culture that you just mentioned, were you guys ever worried, even though you had the Oceanic Trust to work with you, ever worried about not portraying the Pacific Island culture with doing it justice and maybe like offending people? Was that ever a thought?
Very early on when we went there, we met these people, and they were so warm and so giving. And we, 5 years ago when we came back, we just felt like we had made enough of a personal tie with these people that on almost a personal level, we felt like we wanted to make a movie that they would be proud of. And we know it's hard, you know, that these movies, we're not a part of the culture, and we're trying to learn as much as we can. And so that's why it was valuable for us to bounce ideas off them, or to show them drawings, or talk about the script and all that stuff. Because sometimes you just, if you haven't lived it, you don't necessarily know what some of the issues might be. So that it's been helpful that way. And but I think, you know, when people see the finished film in its entirety, I hope that we really have delivered on a film that people from the Pacific Islands can look at with pride, and feel that there's a good representation of their culture, and that it talks about both the beauty of the people and the culture itself, and their historical background as far as these great navigators that they were. So I hope that it will be something that kids from that area. I know one of our actresses, Rachel House, who does the voice of the grandmother character, she said, as she saw the film, you know, nearly completed, she hasn't seen it all finished, but she was excited for, as she says, you know, poly girls everywhere, you know, seeing the movie and how much power that they're going to feel watching this movie. So that was a great sort of endorsement to get from Rachel.
And there was even a woman that I was talking to outside that is from, I think her family was from the Pacific Islands, and she was like, wow, these clips, she's like, I really do feel that they've done justice to my culture.
Great.
So
I
mean, I'm sure she'll let you know later on today.
Yeah, we did have the handsome dude that carried the flag for Tonga a couple weeks ago came through the studio for the Olympics. The flag brother, everyone, wow, what a buff guy. And his family's background was in the Navy in Tonga, and so him seeing this thing was very moving to him because he felt like it really connected to his own.
Some clips.
We showed him what you saw. We know the way this song about celebrating voyaging, which was such a source of power for them, and he just he was so touched by that. He felt like it was really connecting to his past.
I haven't cried in 8 years, but I cried when I saw that, and people have seen clips of particularly that sequence and other sequences of the movie, I think, who are from the islands, I think, have really responded positively. And as we say, we've really tried to be as respectful as we can, and really wanted to do a movie that they would feel proud of, and that's always been our goal.
Oh, you guys certainly met that goal. I mean, I'm not from that culture, but just what I've heard, like the talk surrounding it, you definitely have. You mentioned that you took your first inspiration was from these myths and hearing about Maui and these demigods. I have to ask, you read so many of them, I'm sure, for research. What's been your favorite, or both of your favorites?
Well, I'd say Maui himself. Then there's some great stories about Maui. He slowed down the sun. The days were too short for people who wanted to work, and he was trying to help mankind out. So he basically took, and various versions, some he lassoed the sun, others he almost wrestled it, and he kind of slowed it down so that it would travel across the sky slower so that our days got longer. That's just such a beautiful sort of image of such a mythic accomplishment. And just even the fact that he could pull islands out of the sea, I love that, just the poetry of that image, the idea that he could raise them right and suddenly there's a whole world in front of your eyes. It's just mythic and powerful and strong and seems really heroic to me. I don't know with you.
Yeah, he's a fun, I think that there's an aspect of the stories that we read that felt like that this would really lend itself well to animation, and Maui was kind of a folk hero in some ways, almost like Paul Bunyan or Pecos Bill or characters like that. Much bigger than life, and yet he wasn't, I mean, it varies in some of the myths, but he was kind of mischievous, and he did things like he turned his brother into a dog. And even his, we don't use it in the movie, but his magical fish hook, he actually made from his grandmother's jawbone. So he was, there are fun aspects of his character that just, I think, made it really fun to bring him into the animation world.
Oh, I'm excited to see more of Maui and what you guys did with that based off those stories. And then last question. Can you guys give any hints towards some Easter eggs that the audience might find throughout the film? Maybe past.
Well, there are references to other films.
Believe it or not, there are 2 characters from Frozen in this movie somewhere. If you find them, and you have to look hard, but they're in there.
And Flounder worked his way
from
in.
Little Mermaid. Flounder makes an appearance.
Oh, great! I love him.
But we won't tell you where. Again, most of
there
these are you really got to look.
Several others. Yeah, if you look hard, you study the film. But there's a reference to Aladdin that will be kind of hard, but I think people, if they're
search it out, we'll find it. Yeah.
Oh well, I'm gonna pay attention intensely
look in the
now
corners
when I
of the screen,
this.
and you may have to see it a couple of times.
Might have to see it a second time. The first time.
There's your slip in for people to see it a few more
promoting
times,
it.
right?
Right. Okay. Right.
Awesome. It was so great talking to you guys. Thank you so much for sitting with me.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Of course. Nice meeting you.